Welcome everybody to the Sustainable Procurement for High Performance Federal Buildings webinar. And I'll let Jane take it from here.
Thanks. Next slide, please. Hi, I'm Jane Brody. I'm the principal of JSR Associates. And with my esteemed colleagues, Paul and Michael, we will be able to do a little overview and update. So I am the technical consultant for RFCI. And I thought we could talk a little bit about RFCI and the GSA and ecomedes. And so I'm going to start out with a little bit of background on RFCI and what we've been doing. Next slide, please. So I think I've been using this slide quite a bit lately because I don't know if there's not enough time or we're just trying to save time, but we're going to go with the saving time part of that. And in terms of RFCI working with ecomedes, part of the strategy and the goals were really focused around saving time, enhancing the specification experience for resilient flooring so that people could find what they need, where they need it quickly and in one spot. So the accessible one-stop shop for sustainability and also performance information was part of the goal. The other part of it is the user ease. So the architects, designers, specifiers, but also from talking with the different RFCI members, we realized that the flooring contractors and facility managers were in need of this information just as much. Often the subcontractor is the one that's the one on the hook, so to speak, to be able to provide the various data and information they need to comply with building certification systems. So as a result of that, this provides them that information and they can easily find it. Next slide, please. The searchable products by sustainable performance attributes from an RFCI perspective, working with ecomedes, we have the following that we're working with is the Assure Certified, which is for rigid core product. Affirm Certified is a new certification that is being tied to the NSF ANSI 332 standard. That revision is in process and is in the final joint committee publication vote balloting process. And so we hope to have that before May in terms of the final certification system, in terms of what it's going to be the standard completion, so that we can start rolling out the Affirm Certified based on products being certified. We've already talked with some RFCI members who are looking forward to using the new standard, so we're excited about that as well. And then you'll start seeing Affirm Certified as a label similar to Assure and Floor Score. The other part about the searchable products includes industry-wide EPDs that have been done for all the various types of flooring. We're looking at that update to come in 2024. And then we have product-specific EPDs from the various manufacturers that are members of the RFCI Association. Embodied carbon would be tied back to EC3. Congratulations to the ecomedes group for working with the EC3 and building transparency to get all that data come in and connect. We're very excited about this. We worked as a pilot program within building transparency to basically bring RFCI members and the resilient floor covering category into the EC3 tool and have the information on embodied carbon from the various products. In addition to that is HPDs and Declare, which ties clearly to the requirements that are part of the health and wellness section of the new NSF 332 standard. So that will also be part of the Affirm Certified. So we're very excited about that as well. Next slide, please. So the idea of being able to be searchable by green building certification is also very important for not only the design community, but again, also the subcontractors. And so we've provided data on green globes and the different certification criteria there so that we can include that within the RFCI overall ecomedes database. We've also looked at Fitwell criteria in the acoustics arena and some other things, and trying to figure out ways to also allow the user to also be able to see some of the criteria that is contributing and products contribute to meeting that criteria for the various certifications. Next slide, please. And so we're going to come full circle for this. So the reason we think this is super important is that the product database is tied to education as the driver for the databases, to the database, the educational benefits, and then having the RFCI specific for the product category designated page and database through ecomedes. Next slide, please. They want to include a product in ecomedes database. Then we use the educational programming as the driver. We use and find, so you can find the resilient flooring sustainability and performance attributes, and that results in the specifier and procurement process to work really smoothly for the resilient flooring industry. Next slide. So the continuing education programs that we have currently available through RFCI, we have one that's completed and two that we're working on. Next slide, please. The resilient flooring and materiality. This is a basic course that wants to talk through what the basic materiality and the versus the ideological reasons behind why we might use one or other material. It wants to explain where materials come from, how they're made, what the production process is for various different types of resilient flooring. So it covers cork, it covers vinyl, it covers rubber, and it covers linoleum. And it gives the transparency, the product service life, the performance, the attributes, so that people can understand the materiality and its uses and application. And so I think this is a very valuable one-on-one course that we can tie back then to looking and searching for products within the ecomedes database. The second one is called Resilient Flooring Specifications. This hits on environmental, health, and social impacts. This mirrors what we're looking at for the NSF 332 updates. And based on that, we are looking at the different types of initiatives that are being completed, but we're also doing it from the perspective of 3 manufacturers and 2 interior designers, and 1 facilities-based and 1 firm-based, to give people a better idea of how we're looking at products and selection of products from a multiple attribute perspective versus a single attribute perspective. And then the last one came about as a add-on actually from Building Transparency's work, because we're really missing the EPDs and understanding them. So if a manufacturer who's technical who asked me the question and said, I could really use this to help train the sales staff, then I figured that it was also very important for us to also demystify the EPDs in sustainable design for the designer. So this is understanding the impacts. And so you're going to see these in multiple formats. We have architectural record, interior sources, and then we have them recorded and actually available for CEU credit on the RFCI website itself. Next slide, please. And with that, we're going to go into Michael's conversation and the SF tool. Thanks very much.
Great. Thanks very much, Jane. It's a pleasure to be on this call with everybody. I'm Michael Bloom with GSA's Office of Federal High Performance Green Buildings. We can go to the next slide. My slides aren't as beautiful as Jane's were. Nice job on those, by the way. So today's agenda, we've already dealt with the first couple bullet points, the introduction by RFCI especially. What I'm going to do is show you SFTool, or the Sustainable Facilities Tool, quite quickly. And then we're going to review how a part of that tool, the Green Procurement Compilation, actually supports federal buyers and project teams. And then we're going to show you how the tool that shows everybody all the rules that apply to specific categories actually links to an online catalog that actually shows you the products that meet those actual rules. And then we'll do a live demo and talk about how we can even get better pictures and information into the tool that we're showing you, and take questions and answers. So that's what's up for the next few minutes. So SFTool, it's SFTool.gov. It's run by my office. And if you go to the homepage, it looks like the picture on the left of the slide. It doesn't only talk about procurement, by the way. There's over 4,000 pages of information in SFTool. It's searchable. It's designed for the facility manager, the person who buys things, the leasing specialist, the project manager. It is the place to go and search in our search bar for anything sustainable, so that you can not only understand rules, which is going to be the gist of what I'm showing you in SFTool today, but also so that you can get, well, what is that? What is an EPD? When is it used? What does it mean? All of those questions are also covered in SFTool. We also have a great section on health, something that Jane Rohde actually helped us create a couple years back. And we do things like talk about, hey, what kind of cost-effective upgrades can you make to your buildings? And how can you actually do a pre and post comparative scorecard on how healthy your space is, that total workplace scorecard. By the way, I know I'm speaking to industry folks here, and this is a federal tool, but it is completely open to all of you. There isn't any firewall or login for the use of SFTool. We figured if we were going to speak plain English to people in the federal government that didn't do this work all the time, we might as well make it open to everybody. And we hope that it is useful to you and encourage you to share whatever parts of it are helpful. So let me show you a glimpse under the hood of the way the tool is organized. So go to the next page. So the Learn section, the slide on the left, includes a new category, climate, because we can say climate now. Climate, energy, water, and health. It on those pages, the subpage, that beautiful picture of the globe, shows you specific pages that we have that help you dive into the subject of climate more deeply. So you can go here for that. And this is basically your glossary and your starting point for understanding and learning about concepts. On the right-hand side is our new plan page. We've had a plan page for 11 years since the tool came on board. But what the plan section is redesigned to do is actually to emphasize that center column on project types to say, hey, if you're doing a furniture, fixtures, and equipment project, what do you need to know? What would the best project managers actually tell you from their head? Don't forget this. That's how that page is organized. And it's, again, plain English of all project types, from building system upgrades to space reconfiguration, where a lot of the resilient flooring kind of projects might end up. And we also talk on the left-hand column about overall strategies, things like integrative design. How do you build a team that can do this stuff? All of this stuff matters if we're really going to do projects of any type well. So we kind of give you the links and the instructions. And again, point to federal instances of examples of this happening in real life. The plan for the future talks about big things like net zero and climate change as well. So what else is, besides learn and plan, is an SFTool? Well, from the beginning, we invented SFTool to be able to use graphics and take people on a virtual tour of a space using green dots to indicate where they can make sustainable choices. That's still true. And the whole list that you see on the left-hand side of this slide shows you how deep this explore section actually is. We don't only tackle the workspaces, various types, all on the left-hand side, where of course we're not showing carpet in a bathroom. We show resilient flooring and hard flooring in the bathroom. But you can tour spaces, see the green dots, choose different kinds of flooring to compare against one another, see all 23 attributes that matter using the USGBC framework for information, and get a lot of detail about comparing materials to one another in SFTool. I'm sure that would appeal to all of you. You can also see the building systems, whether it's lighting, flooring, water, indoor environmental quality, etc., in SFTool. Next page. Explorer is really cool. You should go and see it. So apply and train. Apply is actually the place where the federal government keeps all of the presentations to the Interagency Sustainability Working Group, or ISWG. It is the system of record for that. But it is also open for anybody to search. And that's one of the ways you can see policy strategies, tools, training, and best practices there. On the right-hand side, we also have the Facilities Management Institute. Essentially, the Congress said, after they gave lots of money to GSA to build a whole bunch of shovel-ready projects for the Recovery Act back in 2008, thou shalt take good care of all of those new buildings. And you should train all of the facility managers to do all the new stuff they need to do for modern buildings, but you don't have extra money. So what we did is we built a way to for facility managers to test themselves using the open book of SFTool to answer a series of questions on a bunch of skills that they should have. And then we link them to free training. Again, if this kind of tool makes sense to any of you or your teams, you can also access it. So that's what you'd find under the train section. So now the big thing, the Procure section. This is what we're here to talk about mostly today. So the Procure section is this idea that the federal government had back more than 10 years ago that said, wait, we have rules for what you should buy that belong to EPA, Department of Energy, US Department of Agriculture. Well, shouldn't they all be in one place? And shouldn't they be easy to see which rules apply to which categories and which subcategories? And we said, yeah. And you know what? Shouldn't that be easy to use? Yes. So why don't we put it on SFTool, which was built to be a pleasant user experience? So we did. And the SFTool has both products and services. I don't talk much about services today, but know that there are services in SFTool, from cafeterias to janitorial services to landscaping to vehicles. And you can actually see sample contract language and even what products should I be buying if I'm doing that kind of service. The cleaning one, the janitorial services might be most relevant to this group, by the way, if you want to look at how to clean floors well. So those are all in SFTool. On the product side, we have several categories. I'll show those to you on the next slide, but we also have specific Department of Defense, Department of Energy, and GSA subcategories that go beyond federal requirements. So you can even see what those agencies are asking for beyond just the minimum compliance. So let's go to the next page. This is all the 27 main categories that we have of products in the Green Procurement Compilation. That's GPC, from appliances to vehicles. And anything with a green box around it is where we've invested time and effort in working with ecomedes to actually take you from the list of rules, which I'll show you in a sec, to the actual products that comply. Next page. So this is the transform. GPC on the left, binoculars that you'll find on many of those pages in the GPC that take you to the brands and products that meet those requirements on the right. And what you're seeing on the right is sftool.ecomedes.com. What you're seeing on the left is sftool.gov. And they are seamless in terms of user experience. And let's show you how that works. So if you go to building finishes, one of the many categories on the left-hand side for product categories, you'll see this list of product subcategories pop up, from acoustical ceiling tiles to the stuff this group really cares about, which is all those flooring categories, from carpet and floor coverings, non-carpet, which unfortunately right now is our title for where you'd find resilient flooring. We're working on that, believe me, to more. What you see first is an unpacking of, well, what are the references and guidance with regard to building finishes? And then we also link to the executive orders and the references that say why these things are the rules. And in here, we have those 18 product subcategories. And each of those subcategories, thanks to the federal government's rules, actually have their own procurement guidelines. And this is, instead of being a bad thing that the federal government has clear rules about what they want, it actually is a rare thing for even the big Microsofts, Googles, Amazons of the world to get this detailed. So we're actually very fortunate that we have as these rules as a building block, and that we've even ordered them in a way that says, okay, we have statutory programs in the federal government that must be met. Those are those federal programs like BioPreferred. Then we have the EPA's recommended specification standards and ecolabels. Those are listed as well. Notice that they're in order, and they're in order from multi-attribute standards to single attribute standards. And then all the way down to a specification. So this is what that page looks like for floor coverings non-carpet when you're looking at what rules need to apply when a Fed buys this type of product. Now, if you were going to do this yourself, where would you go next? Would you click on each one of the links next to each one of those different products? How long might that take you if that was your process? A long time, 180 plus clicks to get to the center of that flooring non-carpet Tootsie Roll Pop, right? So let's go to the next page and show you how floor coverings for floor tiles look. Notice that floor tiles has two product types referenced: plastic, that's one on the left, and rubber, the one on the right. And the certifications are similar to the flooring non-carpet data sets, very similar. And this is one of the reasons why Paul and I are both working to see if we can simplify this in the way that the federal government says what we want when it comes to flooring. Wouldn't it be great? We had flooring, and then we had carpet, resilient flooring, and hard flooring, and searched for it the way that normal people do. And that we could also be better inclusive of vinyl and cork being part of the sets that they should be part of, because this doesn't call those out specifically. So we are working on that here, but this still does show you the way those ecolabels and lists are actually shared for this category. So to sum up my part of the presentation, what we are doing for the buyer and also for specifiers and architects and everybody else is we're taking the federal programs, we're taking the third-party ecolabels and certifications from EPA, and we're putting them in one place. And then when we have those categories, if a product from a manufacturer already meets those rules, then we have the ability to add additional data to their products that appear on our tool by taking in information directly from manufacturers, but only if they're already meeting the tool. We don't have self-declared, hey, yeah, I'm green kind of stuff. That's where we get the data enrichment program, which Paul and I will come back and talk about at the end of this call. So like if you're missing a picture, we can get it that way. So what we've done is created, one more second, we've created the largest curated database of federally compliant products in the marketplace. And all of those data points that you see on the right-hand side are true. And it's also free for people to use. And it's also become the basis of what people in states, local municipalities, et cetera, are using to say, hey, this is not only a starting point, but a great starting point for us to build our own stuff on. And that's again, the reason why we want everybody to know that it exists. And we want to give all of you the chance to enrich the data that's in it so that the buying experience is as good as it can be for the end user. So to you, Paul.
All right. Thank you, Michael, for that great introduction. Hi, my name is Paul Shariar, founder and chief innovation officer here at ecomedes. What we're going to talk to you about is how do we connect that data on your behalf, give you a little background on the RFCI tool that we're building. You guys are very fortunate to have all your data already organized through the program that we're doing and working with the great folks at RFCI to do that and basically on-ramp a lot of different data sets, because as you guys know, you guys have a lot of different data points. So currently it's in a demo mode. Many of you guys have been giving us data. Thank you for that. But we're going to be able to take all the data that you guys have provided and nourished on the RFCI portal and bring that all right in to Michael's SFTool and the GSA's SFTool.com platform. So we're going to be able to merge in the floor score data, the C2C data, declare, Green Label Plus, Green Circle, NSF 332, soon to be renamed, SCS Indoor Advantage Gold, the 2 Green Guards, EPDs, GSA contract information, HPDs, and lifecycle assessment data. That is all the data that we currently have on behalf of the great brands that have already been giving us data in RFCI. So we were going to pull all that data in. And as you saw, this list is very much like the list that we just showed on these product pages. So making it easy for a buyer to find the data that they said they were looking for is a really, really good strategy to make buying easy. And what we do for Michael and the GSA is that we took all of these rules, all these kind of scavenger hunts of data, about 180 clicks if you want to get to all these different registries and then find floor coverings, products within those registries. You know, that's a lot of time and effort. Well, Michael added these binoculars. So the SFTool team said, what if we just got people right to be able to see all the brands that have been vetted for one or more of these eco-labels? So that's the kind of price of admission. You have to have achieved one of these things. And then we basically are showing that user, that buyer, that distributor, even you as a sales rep, all of the products that have met bio preferred. There's 287. There's C2C, 70 products. Declare, there's 195. Floor score, there's 7,800, so on and so forth. We bring all that data together because we know that if you're on a project team searching for this, they're not going to do that many clicks. But here you guys get to showcase that, hey, I've met these requirements. And in this one click, we go find about 9,000 compliant products from over 100 brands. 15 eco labels and certs are automated here with 50 different additional eco data attributes. So a wide variety of you guys have all that data with one click available. And I'll go into the live demo to show you how, if you just type your brand name in, the buyer is going to be able to find your entire catalog of products, and it'll provide them how many of your products have achieved one or more of those eco labels that drive that specification. Similar in floor tiles, same kind of listing, slightly different just in terms of a couple of eco labels in and out, but those same binoculars work, and about 712 compliant products pop out for brands that have identified themselves as floor tiles. About 38 brands, 9 eco labels pulled through, and 20 additional attributes are pulled along in addition to these eco labels, because most of the eco labels are kind of a single node of data. There's a lot of other things that you guys can put in the system that makes it easier for them to understand why you are a better product than, say, maybe the competitor that you're getting compared against. So our whole job as a data provider and as a platform provider, a technology digitization, if you would, we take this work and automate it for both the buyer and for the seller. And in the middle of project teams, the architect, the influencer, the contractor, the design specification consultant, all of that data can flow right through and get you to where you need to go with one single click. So what I'm going to do now is I'll stop. If there's any questions for Michael or for Jane, we can answer those questions right now, and then I'll dive into the live demo. If there's anything that anyone wants to ask, please feel free. Are there any there? I think I can cover that when I do the demo. So I don't see any other ones other than the one that's in chat. So I'll go to the live demo. So I'll start kind of at the beginning. Michael showed you this awesome platform called SFTool.gov. I'll just briefly go through this. This is, I think, one of the best websites to simplify sustainability I've ever had a chance to use. And all these different elements are all available to you, again, free for anyone to use. You can go through the various different building systems. They have a really cool interface. If you were to actually look at an actual spot within the building, it'll give you that picture. And if you click on the flooring, it'll tell you kind of things to think about related to that flooring option or that furniture option. So it's a really good resource for anyone that's kind of just new to sustainability. And many facility managers might be new to this work. All the information that's kind of embedded is all available to you with one click. The Procure section is the main part that we've automated. So this Green Procurement Compilation gathered up all these requirements across all these different categories. And if I were to click into building finishes, for the floor coverings on carpet that we just showed, here is exactly that live page. So if a buyer wanted to go through all these steps, they would have to go and learn about all these different variables that are out there, a lot of extra clicks and a lot of work. But what we do at the top is provide those binoculars right to our platform. So with one click, now I have all the results available to me in one view, and I can now see the federal program, number of compliant products, all the EPA certification standards and ecolabels, and those additional high performance filters, whereas they're additive in terms of the work. To get onto the platform, you have to have met the federal or the EPA recommended. The additional high performance filters are just more tiebreaker type data, EPD data, GSA contract data, HPD data, life cycle assessment, and a living product challenge. So all that data is available to the platform. And with one click, you can see all the things that are maybe C2C certified. So that'll further curate the database. I can go the other way and go, I want to see everything that's floor score certified. And now we'll be down to 7,800 products, and every one of the brands that has achieved that will be available on the left-hand navigation for a buyer to go out and see. Another feature that I want to showcase really quickly is anyone can sign up for this account to be able to do project level analysis. So if you just want to go and sign up, you have an extra screen in front of you, just put in your email address and password. The reason why we do that is that you can actually save your work and create projects. And I'll kind of show you what that feature looks like. It keeps all your homework and all the data that we've aggregated across our entire process in one location. So here's an example of an RFCI demo. And here's just a bunch of products from you guys as manufacturers. A project team can go through their entire floor schedule and go in and put the quantity, the unit prices, and then ask the system to evaluate this against the federal guidelines that we're talking about in that credit, LBC, LEED, and WELL. And with one click, that entire order across all those brands and all those subdivided data pieces will actually be all evaluated against federal guidelines and those 3 rating systems that quickly. And every individual product in that evaluation will have all of its data shine through. So here's the floor score certificate, recycled content, and it'll actually show me how that individual product at that quantity unit price would contribute to Living Building Challenge, LEED, WELL, and the federal guidelines. So that's the real power of having this platform available to you as a sales rep, as a dealer rep, or as a buyer, is that typically they're going to be buying multiple things. And rather than going after the data one by one, we can actually assemble it all without having to deal with all those PDFs on your desktop. And all of that data is available to you. And you can just run a download of a PDF, and it'll take all the data, including all those hyperlinks, that certification, all in one spot. So then I have a PDF I can share with my design team. It's date stamped, time stamped. I know what day it was generated on. And all of that data is beautiful and organized so that you can share that with the rest of your design team to know that your work or the stuff that you're presenting as a sales rep is all in alignment with what that client might be looking for. So that's the power of the platform kind of at a project sense. What's really nice for folks at GSA is that they can search through any of these product categories and very quickly dive into the product category and subcategories they might be most interested in to find the product data that they're looking for and be able to get the data that they need without having to kind of always be looking on multiple sites. So here you got cradle to cradle, declare, floor score, and in the brackets how many products have achieved those designations. So if I wanted to know what had floor score, as soon as I click on that button, now there's another set of filtration that's been deployed, And now I know every brand that it's achieved floor score and how many products underneath that umbrella have met that guideline. So that's another nice way of being able to look at the data. We also know that in that list of floor score products, the number of EPD products has been reduced to 123. So that means inside a floor score, there's 123 products that have achieved a EPD declaration. 26 of them have a GSA contract, a number or attachment to them. 25 of them have an HPD, and 6 of them have a life cycle assessment. So it's very simple to be able to go through there. If you know of a brand you might be interested in finding, the user can just type in the brand and then the brand name will pop up. And with one click, you can find the entire product listing from that brand. I gotta remove that designation and then rerun the calc. And it'll give me the entire list of products that are from that brand through the registry. And it's gonna refresh. A little slow today. Let me try that again. So if you go through there, you can see a set of results that'll pop up available to the user. So anytime you know of the brand that you're looking for, you can actually put that right into the search bar and be able to find the brand listing and find the entire catalog of compliant products. If you're looking,
we have a couple of questions here in the chat. Can you just touch on what determines which products show at the top in the search results page, as well as if we show any sort of expired certificates such as EPDs or HPDs?
So the search sort is by popularity. That's the only way that we currently display. So based on the popularity of searches and uses and products, that's how the current certified products get listed. We do sometimes have a product that might have a detailed point like a certification, and wherever we can show the validity date through. So if they haven't replied and updated that certificate, it'll tell you this was certified and valid through, say, February 1st of 2022. Once that updated certificate is uploaded, that'll be provided. In this case, the floor score is good through June 30th of 2022. So anytime we have a certification link, we'll tell you who provided the link, who certified the product, and whatever the validity date stamp is between the first and the last date point. Is there any other questions? I'm not looking at the chat. Are there any other data related questions?
That's it for now.
Okay. Jane, do you have any things that you would want me to specifically run through the demo?
Actually, before Jane, you answer that, I wanted to say that many systems actually would say that, hey, our clients actually are the things that show up first. And one of the things that was what we've taken a lot of care to do in multiple parts of the tool is to make sure that we're just showing the products, and there is no pay-to-play part of SFTool Product Search. The sorts are done by popularity, by alphabetical order. You do have the ability to sort on the tool for the most energy efficient light bulb. That's something that we did too, because we had the data, so we could do that. So the searches are, the order of appearance is based on the data that we have about the product, not about whether the manufacturer is a customer of the organization.
Well, we have one more question here now. How often is data pulled from the RFCI database to SFTool?
So the RFCI part of the database, that's going to be a live sync, just like we do with BIFMA level and some of the other data registries that are on the ecomedes platform. So whatever is live on the RFCI site will be also live on the platform. So anytime there's an update made to the RFCI data that you have here, it'll automatically be synchronized to the platform because it's using the same data lake for that data. So whatever you've updated here will be updated, whether it's pictures, certification links. You just have to do it once and it'll flow right through. And that's one of the reasons why the ecomedes platform is used here. We do update all ecolabels at least monthly. So floor score, any data set that we have that's not our internal data set, it'll get pulled at least monthly. And if you're ever looking for that data, you can actually go in there and hover over any of the data points and find it like that. So I'll show you an example. Any and all data related to these products will be defined like that. So let me go to a product here and find one. So I'll do this Technofloor one. If you hover over the right pieces, it'll tell you who the source was. So in this case, it was Technoflora for some of these general characteristics. And then when you go down here, it'll say this was provided by Cradle to Cradle on the 1st of March. The EPD was provided by Technoflora the 21st of June, and their floor score certificate was provided by SCS on the 16th of this month. So all that data is usually source stamped and date stamped, and you can see there's a wide variety. And that's one of the things that we do for brands is make sure that technical data on ramp is simplified for them, and then they just have to manage it in one spot, and then we'll pull in all the data from wherever the certification body is. But certification data, primarily driving most of SFTool, is provided on a monthly refresh for sure.
So along those lines, we've been able to work with Building Transparency to get the API attaching the EC3 data. Do you see that also eventually migrating over into the SFTool as well, Paul?
Yeah, depending on how the federal government wants to deploy that data. Right now, there is obviously a lot of activity around EPDs and HPDs and buy clean, but how they deploy that data right now, it's an additional filter in SFTool. It's not part of the actual EPA recommendations. As soon as that implementation guidance is published, then that data will flow through. Exactly. Our buyer platforms are curated by GSA. So Michael and the GSA are the project managers of what people see on this platform, unlike some of the other platforms we've curated just for USGC or just for a university system or just for a big buyer or architectural firm.
Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions in chat or anything else, Maya? I mean, Haley and Michael, you'd like me to cover?
There is a question on the RFCI site go live. So I think that is public facing as of Friday, late Friday or today, I think. Is that correct?
I believe
kind of speak for that. We went live with the staging site with all the demo data that we've collected thus far from the RFCI member brands. So we're still sort of in the midst of that lengthy process of just collecting all that data. And the site should be going live with the data we do have shortly. So we'll keep you guys updated.
And we're really close. They've been working really hard. The manufacturer's been working really hard to get that data put together. So we're very excited about that. And so we'll be helping promote that as well as the members will, and to be able to use that. So we have a few things on the EC3 tool and some performance standards and things like that we'd like to add. So we're very close.
Do we have another question, I think, or a comment about what happens if the different change in administration comes on board, and will the site go away? SFTool.gov and SFTool Product Search did not go away during the last administration. So the FARs, the Federal Acquisition Regulations, require a lot of this stuff to be done. Some of the EOs might be a little forward leaning, but a lot of this stuff has been around for a while, and I don't see it going away. And I don't have any notion that this would go away. This is a lot of the marketplace data that people have to do for LEED and WELL and LBC projects and Green Globes and Fitwell. So this is just a tool that helps not only the federal buyer, but Michael's been kind enough to kind of do a lot of the work to simplify sustainable procurement for his teams, and also simplify sustainable selling for folks like you that have done a lot of amazing things with your products. And we just want to make sure you guys get credit for it. So that's one of the things that we'd really love to help and support you guys in that endeavor, and make it worthwhile for the folks that have done, like NSF 332. There's the 4 brands that have done that and proceeded forward. They're all listed right here. So when you're ever wondering how people use it, they sometimes come in through product categories and use those binoculars. Other times, once they find the product category, they might be specific on, I want to see if they've achieved this. And then with one click, they'll get all the products, the 57 results. And then everyone that's met those guidelines will be visible in the platform. So there's a lot of different ways that people use it. But what's nice is you can actually do very quick apples to apples comparisons. So I'm going to do that really quick for you guys just to see it. Let's see if there's any other. All right, so if you go and click some products, and you can either add it to a project like I showed you before, or comparison, what this tool does that no other tool can do is actually put things side by side and give you really quick access to everything available on that product from Ropi, Presidio, and Curated, and just line item by line item. This is the stuff that it used to take our firm, hundreds of hours to do every month for clients. Now you have it, everything apples to apples. You see all the data, you have hyperlinks to those certificates. And if you ever wanted to share that with a project team, right now we can just share the URL. We are working on a way to be able to share and collaborate on projects. Those features will be out in the next couple months, and then you'll be able to actually share and collaborate on projects very quickly. So you can either send it out all the stuff on your brand, or an interior designer can find 3 that maybe they've honed in on as choices, share that out to the rest of their team, and then be able to engage those brands on the data that might need to be utilized to leverage a decision. So super straightforward to use, super easy to pull together projects. There's no limit for the number of projects you create. So if you're working with distributors or you have government sales channels, they can make as many project pitches as they want, and makes it very, very easy to be part of a larger context. So much of the flooring stuff is usually done on projects. And one of the things that me and Mike first talked about when we were first looking at this is he said, hey, I just got off of a really big high-rise redevelopment in Chicago, and it was really hard to go find this data. So what's nice is having a client that actually did the work that I'm trying to automate. This information is kind of what a typical project might look like. They might be buying everything from lamps to flooring to lighting to cleaning products. And it's impossible to do this kind of analysis without having a tool, because otherwise I'd have a folder sitting on my desktop with a bunch of PDFs. I can, with one click, go, I want to run this against these rating systems and federal guidelines. And within one button in a couple of seconds, I'll get every single product. The system will look at all the data behind all those products and give me a complete breakdown of how I would have helped, including some ROI calculations on watts and water. And every individual product data sheet that you would have had to put a PDF together on and summarize multiple data points is all one place.
Right. And for me, that was the reason why Lead Project didn't get certified during the time that I was attached to it, is because not only because we couldn't get the data forms, the stuff that I can see on this tool before I even buy the thing that I'm looking for, right? So this is really great to speed the sharing of information to the client, to the sales teams, to everybody who needs to see it, and great on its own. Also, people buying sustainable products are not just buying those things because they're getting points for a green building certification system anymore. They're doing it because it's part of compliance with federal requirements that are increasingly stringent. And so being able to point them to where they can get that data and that information without needing to make it harder on themselves is really important. And that's part of the drivers here that we wanted to talk to you about too. Because you're part of this organization, you have really high fidelity data to start with, but we wanted to make sure you understood how you could enrich that data further. So Paul, take it away again.
Great. So as Michael said, we built this for 2 sides of the marketplace. The federal buyers wanted simplified compliant product discovery, which we've done because we've only gathered things that are compliant. So we've done the vast majority of the homework in the place where people get derailed. That's automated, they're on tracks. Streamline project and procurement, they have to not only buy the right stuff, but then they have to document the right stuff. That entire process has been automated. And ultimately they do this because they want to improve the building performance. This is a client that's on the call today with 300,000 buildings that they operate out of. Every federal person works out of a GSA controlled either building, or at least the lease is controlled by GSA. They are the landlord for all the federal agencies. So they want to make sure when they're buying things for their buildings, they're healthier, they're more performance driven, they're going to last longer, and they meet all these procurement requirements. The same exact could be said for the people that are on the manufacturer vendor side. You want to position your product in a very easy way and say, this is compliant, here's the justification. We want to make sure that when the customer asks you questions, you use the same tool, and a couple clicks later, you're done. And ultimately, your products are the ones that deliver that longer lasting performance to that owner that's going to enjoy that, resilient floor for the next 10, 15, 25 years, because it's waterproof, it's scratch resistant, it does all those things. And so what we want to do is make that a little easier. So what we're going to talk to you guys about is stage 1 is make sure, brand names are aligned. A lot of you have achieved multiple certifications, probably have gone through this already on your RFCI work. Your brand name might be slightly different on all the different databases you've achieved. Aligning that and aligning your product names will let 7 or 8 certificates all align with one listing that you guys want. And then mapping those correct products to the right federal purchasing information listed, that's going to be critical. That's what we're going to do for you guys, make sure that that's all aligned. So we're checking the right boxes, and we've kind of cleaned up some of the messy data. Other brands have gone to like stage 2, which is just, I want my entire full catalog enabled with this kind of data. Many of the certificate level data that federal buyers and other buyers use applies to an entire collection or a family of your products. But ultimately, the designer is actually choosing a product. So anytime you can actually make those certificates live on behalf of all the SKUs that are available on your website, it's a really smart thing to take a look at and make sure that those connections are being done and made easier for your project support teams. Having a lot of data available is great, but actually applying all that data to the right product as a consumer of your data is going through those design cycles, it's a lot easier for them. And then ultimately, many of you are bigger companies. You want to make sure all this data is really aligned along all your brands so that that omni-channel commerce experience, whether it's the dealer, the distributor, some of you guys might have e-commerce type things, having all the data in one place makes it a lot easier. As we digitize, COVID has made many of the job processes we do a multi-step process that used to be done face-to-face. Now we're doing it all digitally. Well, just like we're connected today through technology, this digitization is happening. It's happening a lot faster for B2B and B2G sales than it did in B2C. So a lot of our users are used to like a really good Amazon experience. We're unfortunately going to have to accelerate, I think, some of that technology to make that easy. So to do that, let us know if you have any questions about how your data is currently in SFTool. We're happy to do a one-on-one with you. We can evaluate the subcategories, the types, the product categories you might be listed in currently. Make sure your brand name and your product names are aligned. If you have contact information to sales or federal or general and green, let us know that information so we can add that to your record. So you can have a general informational contact, a GSA contact, and maybe you have a sustainability one. We can fan that out to your catalog. GSA contract, many of you guys are on GSA schedules, so please let us know. If you don't have a contract directly, but you have distributors that do, let us know those at least so that we can attach that little data contract number to your listing so that that product can be found easier by a federal buyer. And many of you guys are have some lines that are made in America or Buy America Act compliant. Any of that kind of information you guys want to share with us, please do. It helps the platform grow and also gives the GSA other avenues to select your product, because it's not just green performance. Some of these new executive orders are asking for other data. And while you're doing the RFCI updates, we'd love for you to give us that information. It might apply to everything, so it's not hard to do. It just, here's a couple of columns of data, and this applies to everything on this list. But anything that you can do to help us better connect. And ultimately, if you do have any UPC or UNSPC numbers, those kind of data points could be helpful to connect to maybe future connections to GSA Advantage and things like that. So that's what the data enrichment program is like. You can schedule a one-on-one. We'll go through the data structure, what we have currently. Many of you guys have already cleaned up all our data with the RFCI platform, which is great, but we'll have a couple other things like the contract URL, Buy America compliant, what SIN or MAS category you're in, things like your GSA contract information and emails and phone numbers. All that stuff helps a buyer find you and talk to you about what you want to do. And we'll do those one-on-ones so you guys can share with us whatever you care to share. And we'll give you guys the best in class, advice on what to do to make this the most proactive for you as possible. So with that, we'll stop and answer any other questions you guys have. If you guys want, I'll unmute you guys and you guys can just ask the question directly. It might be easier than trying to type it all out. So I'll do that right now while I have you. Feel free to put a question in chat, or Jane or Michael, if you have anything else you'd like to add, feel free.
I just have another question, and this is more of a who else gets to see this information. As Michael knows, I love supporting the SFTool and like rolling it out and getting it in front of different people to utilize. Is there an opportunity to overlap between like ASID and IIDA and things like that, and doing presentations like this that talk through the ecomedes as well as GSA and RFCI, just to give people sort of this, I learned something every time, and I've heard this presentation numerous times, but I learned something every time I come onto it. I wonder if that might not be another good way to support the RFCI members, is just having the same for additional, for additional folks in some of the other trade associations. Does that sound like a plan?
Yeah, we can certainly build a version like this for ASID and IIDA members that are doing interior projects for the GSA. I know there's a lot of them. that are doing that work. And as we reconfigure, I think the federal spaces, we're more than welcome to do one program, and then maybe RFCI can host it on your guys' website.
Yeah, because a part of that is it's not just GSA. That's what I always tell people. They're like, well, it's GSA, it's government. I go, no, it's everything. Because so many people can get the value out of it. I mean, there's even COVID direction on it in terms of everything that came out of the COVID task group from the GBAC. So there's just really super good content, and spreading that around overall would be super.
Yeah, that'd be great. Let us know how we can help in that.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do.
More than happy to.
We've got 9 minutes left. Like I said, if you guys would like to send an email to paul@ecomedes.com, we'd be happy to engage a one-on-one. We're going to send the deck out to you guys, the recording, contact information for all of our speakers today. And we really are excited to be launching the RFCI portal. And then anybody interested in kind of doing a brand audit, we'll be happy to do that for you. It's usually a half an hour, 45-minute call. We'll go through all the data, show you where it all comes from, and then help you engage whatever enrichment you guys would like to have with Michael and the rest of the federal buyers.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your questions, for your attendance today, and your engagement. We hope that this is a tool that you can put to good use.
Wonderful. Thanks, everyone.
Alrighty, everybody have a good day.
Job. That was excellent.